Hello. So I am live and it's me, Trina Kavanagh-Thomas, mind and body coach, and I'm here today with Anna Bautista. And this is all about collective conversations. And today I'm with Anna, who is an amazing divine and awakener. And she just such amazing energy work. Just her energy itself is just wonderful anyway. Every time we have conversations with each other, we always have
Thank you.
the most beautifulest interviews together. So I'm just in absolute awe of having you here and having you speak today. So I thought I'd record this conversation. It is going to go onto YouTube, onto my channel, but I thought I'd record this conversation on here so people get to see Anna and see the amazing work that she does. Anna is in my collective group coaching membership, and people who are in there, what I want to do is I want to share the wealth and knowledge of what they do because they're experts in their own right. And I feel like, like we live in a world of collaboration,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
when we live in a world of collaboration, I just want to share the work of those that, that I work, that have come through into the collective. So there's going to be more conversations like this as well. So it's beautiful to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It's such a pleasure. I feel like whenever we deep dive into these conversations and whenever we allow it to flow, we always find some really good golden nuggets in there. So I trust it's going to be the same today.
Absolutely. And I think that's the main thing, is what you just said, is trusting that things are going to go well. And sometimes I know that for some people, they may find it difficult to trust, the universe or whatever's going on in life.
Sometimes.
Yes, we all go through it. Especially when we don't know, or the not knowing. I think sometimes we have that. But today we're talking about freedom, and what freedom means to us, really, and especially on Freedom Day as well. So yeah, what does freedom mean to you? And we'll talk about exactly what you do as well, so people get to know you a lot more.
Of course. And I can tie it a bit with my work. Freedom for me means, in a way, a freedom of expression, freedom of expression, firstly, because for a longest time, I always expressed myself and did things because, this is how society expected me to behave. I behaved in a certain way or did things to please others. It wasn't a freedom of being who I am and who I wanted to be. It wasn't freedom of expressing my own needs because everyone else's needs became far more important than mine.
Yeah.
Freedom of actually doing what I want to do rather than doing what everyone expects me to do. Because too many times I was doing not just the people pleasing, but also following everyone else's strategies in business because they knew better. And not actually allowing myself and trusting myself and feeling in a way free, expressing that freedom through doing how I thought it should be done, and not following my intuition. So in short, I could go on I'm just trying to keep it condensed, but in a way, simply just being and expressing myself, being who I wanted to be. That's what freedom means to me. Having the freedom to do things with my money, or what I wanted to do without actually feeling guilty, what everyone tells me, you should be. There's this guilt that they tell you should feel guilty because if you have too much money, then this is how you are. Money spoils people. Money makes people this and this way.
Yeah.
You should spend it this way. And there's this such contracted energy around money. And for me, also, freedom means I get to spend the money however I want.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's beautiful because and I think you've hit a few nails on the head there. Freedom is being who you are and being happy to share that who you are. And sometimes, you know, I know even in my own, in my own life, you kind of feel like you are that person, you are a certain person, and then all of a sudden everything kind of gets broken down, and you
Mm-hmm.
realize you're not that person. You're not
Mm-hmm.
the person who everyone thought you were. You're not
Mm-hmm.
like
Oh,
you.
even who you thought you were.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right?
absolutely, absolutely. I bet you've had that moment. I'm sure you've probably had that moment where you sit
Yes.
down and you go, "Who am I? Who
Who
am
am I?
I?"
Yes.
Yeah,
And
who am
this
I?
for me happened after I became a mom.
Mm,
And, women might relate, like, you start questioning who you are after like really significant events. And for me, it was like becoming a mom for the first time, my body changing like so much with all the health issues that I've had. And, like all of a sudden you have this responsibility towards another human being,
yeah,
and you do not have that freedom, let's say, to do what you did beforehand,
yeah,
before you became a mom. And then all of a sudden I started asking myself, okay, who am I? Because you start missing that freedom, but also you start asking yourself, well, who am I? Like, this body doesn't feel anymore like me. This body doesn't look anymore like me. I'm All of a sudden I'm doing things that I haven't done in the past, because my responsibilities are this. You do not have that, like, as you cannot be as relaxed in a way in your approach, because you have a responsibility towards another human being. And then you ask yourself,
yeah,
okay, who am I? Because that freedom, or feeling relaxed to just go out whenever you wanted, and not having to think about
yeah,
when are you going to wake up in the morning, because you do not have that responsibility towards another human being. And it's just like, okay, who am I now? Who and and with the change in the body, I gained a lot of weight, which wasn't shifting. And I was thinking, okay, who am I now? Because this is my body now. I have to appreciate it, what it is now. So who am I? And then as I became a mom and a lot of things changed, I went for the more comfortable shoes, more comfortable clothes. Okay, is this who I really am?
mm,
I know myself as a really sensual woman. I like wearing dresses. I like dressing up. But all of a sudden, I'm just like putting that to the side, especially in the pandemic, because you're not going out anymore. So for me, especially over the past year, was more of coming to who I am,
yeah, yeah,
to my true self, finding my way to my feminine side, to the
mm-hmm,
parts of me that, in a way, I have put aside, neglected.
mm-hmm,
And again, also working on the deep parts of me that I thought were me, but they aren't.
yeah,
Just finding my way to my true self, to my higher self, in a
yeah.
way, if that makes sense. Any
It
sense.
makes total sense because I think even that I've even been on that kind of more or less a journey, and I think a lot of people who are going to watch this as well have been on that journey too. A lot of people are coming through this. I think lockdown is possibly one of the biggest events where you go, "Who am
In
I?"
words.
Yeah,
In words, yes.
yeah.
And
You've got nowhere else to go. You've
yes.
got nowhere else to go. You're stuck
Yes,
at home.
exactly. And all of a sudden you start questioning everything that you have known. Okay,
Yeah.
I've done this my whole life. Is that really me? I've done all
Absolutely.
this people pleasing my whole life. Is that really me? Or is it just something that I learned how to do over time?
Mm,
And I think a lot of us are coming back to our divine self, where we're um, letting go of all these beliefs that we have,
mm.
picked up along the way, that we
Yeah.
have picked from others, who tell us how we should behave, how we should live our lives,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
have put these expectations. And, we made those beliefs, other people's beliefs, We made it our own. And I think
Absolutely.
it's like, that's why I say it's the divine awakener, because for me, what's important is to help you awaken that divine within you,
Yeah.
to question all those things that you thought you were, everything about yourself, the awakening the parts that you have long forgotten,
Yeah.
you know, you have
That's
long
beautiful.
forgotten.
That is
And
beautiful.
I feel that this is, in a way, what I'm going through myself is, divine awakening to my true self. And I help other women do that too.
That is beautiful because there is something that I really want to bring up a conversation on, and people talk about it, but they don't talk about it enough. I kind of feel, which is the shadow self,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of feel like, for freedom, for true freedom, to feel it in ourselves, we have to face something. We have to face something because we. I don't know about you, but I definitely ran away from lots of things, and
You
sometimes you
push it to
have
the
to.
side.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not the
yeah.
time to deal with it. Go down. Go down.
I've got no
I've
time.
got
I've got
no
no
time for
time for
that.
that stuff. I've got no time for that stuff. But it's knocking, knocking, knocking,
Yeah.
and it gets louder and louder until you get to
Mm-hmm.
the point where
Mm.
you cannot ignore that stuff anymore.
No, no.
And you're desperately craving for this freedom. You're desperately craving for this freedom, and what I suppose you're going to explain it a lot better than me. I mean, we've both done shadow work and stuff,
Mm.
and we both know that there's a mirror. We both know
Mm.
that whoever we're talking to, there's a mirror,
Mm.
and the mirror shines back sometimes the things we don't want to see.
Yes.
And we kind of ignore it. And sometimes we might say, "Oh, that person. Well, they've done this, this, and this," and it's kind of
Mm.
like we're actually doing the same thing.
Yes, yes. And
We're doing
here's
the
the
same
thing.
thing.
They say you cannot make up something which is not in your energy. So if you're
Yeah.
noticing something in someone else, like to a certain extent, they're mirroring something which is already within you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
this is your invitation to explore. It's not, it wasn't easy to do these things in the past, to sit with myself and say, you know what, like there's a part of you that is doing the freaking same. And I was like, my old self would say, no, not me. I'm beyond that. But then, like you have to sit with yourself and be honest. And, one of the biggest things with, in terms of shadow and inner work and child work is about not feeling guilty for having those
Yes,
feelings. Because I
absolutely.
think what stops people from actually doing anything about that one is that they're feeling like there's this internal guilt. Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
well, you feel guilty that you are not perfect, that you have those
Mm,
feelings, that you are behaving in a certain way, that
mm,
you are having these patterns which are not so good, and
absolutely.
it doesn't make you feel good, but you're not going to go anywhere unless you address that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you
You're
keep
hitting the
on
nail on the head.
pushing it, you're not going to get very far because it will keep knocking and then it's going to burst in a really ugly way. And then you're like, okay, you have to deal with it now.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's so true. I mean, like, even I had a conversation this morning with someone, and I'm always, just assist me in just seeing what I need to see.
Mm.
And as I was having this conversation, I was talking about something. And then it wasn't until later on that I realized within that same conversation that I was actually doing the thing that I was on about someone else doing, and I was like, and I just went, oh, for God's sake, and I make a joke out of it because the thing is, at the end of the day, right, there's no point in going home and then going, oh, just throw everything up in the air and beating yourself up. It's like objectively looking at yourself,
Mm.
and going, oh, you
Being the
know what?
observer,
Yes. Yeah.
observing,
Yeah.
observing.
You're observing yourself and you're going, oh, okay. Yes.
It's
Exact,
like you
exactly
go
that.
out of your side, outside of your body, and then you observe, okay, this is what is happening, like, and for me, it's just like, okay, I noticed this. And uh, when you look at it from that perspective, being the observer, you have a much like more objective perspective rather than
Yeah,
being inside it and looking from it
completely.
subjectively, and then letting your all of your emotions affect your progress, because you won't be, if you start feeling resistance, I'm not going to deal with this because I feel guilty about this, or no, that's not me, I'm beyond that.
Yeah.
You're not moving, because
Yeah.
then you'll repeat that pattern
Mm,
all over again. And
absolutely.
I'm not going to say this is comfortable. It's not comfortable. It's never
No, it's
easy.
not.
The internal work sometimes can be easy if you allow yourself, but sometimes
Mm,
it's going to bring up stuff that you need to bring to attention. And for
mm,
me, there was a lot of things that I was pushing to the side, especially the inner child. And like there was
mm.
stuff that I was scared to attend to. But then,
Yeah, yeah.
once I did, then all like a lot of stuff starts getting resolved. And for me, recently, I was working on inner child stuff, and I realized there was a lot of grief. And I didn't realize, okay, where the heck is this coming from? And then I realized grief for not having the childhood that I so desired, grief that I
Mm,
wasn't raised in a certain way, that I wasn't given certain support. And as much
mm,
as I, let's say, understand where my parents were coming from, I was still having this kind of, well, that's, I understand where you were coming from when I think about my
yeah.
parents, but I'm still upset, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still grieving. I'm still
Yeah,
grieving that I didn't get the chance to have this childhood that
yeah.
I really wanted to, for not being able to experience certain things. And it became a lot easier once I experienced that. I allowed myself to go through that grief and cry and whatever needed to be done. But I
Mm,
dealt with that inner child, and I was able to look at different things in a completely different perspective.
yeah,
And like when you're holding on to that grief, not knowing
yeah, yeah.
actually where it's coming from, and most probably you are holding to some sort of resentment,
Mm,
if there's some inner child stuff, anger,
absolutely.
it's going to
Absolutely.
come out somehow
Yeah, yeah.
on your physical body. It's going to
Yeah, absolutely.
manifest itself through your physical body. So
Absolutely.
you'll have to release it.
Absolutely. And I think it's so beautiful what you were saying, that you recognized it and you cried it out and everything, and the tears came through, because I think that is letting go of, allowing it to shift through your body.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And I feel like certain things can shift through the body in certain ways.
Yeah.
And crying is just one of those ways to have the emotion, the heaviest bits of emotion shift through the body, and for the body then to start to relax, because the emotion
Mm.
isn't as big. It's not as big, it's not as present or prominent.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned about anger as well. The first thing that always comes up is being able to articulate it, being able to articulate the anger that you
Yeah.
feel.
Mm.
um
And I think,
Especially when you're going through it, it's the
yeah, and
articulation, isn't it?
yes, and I think that's one of the part of working within your shadows, within your
Mm,
inner child, is actually because your inner child is craving for probably a voice that it didn't have
mm,
for a very, very long time. It didn't know how
mm,
to express itself. All it had are those real, raw emotions,
yeah,
and it didn't
yeah,
know how to express itself. Now,
yeah,
now that you're an adult, meeting your inner child and thinking through it and working through it, you get to express those feelings that you have.
yeah.
express those feelings and anger and articulate the, as you said, articulate the anger and where it's coming from, articulate the resentment, the sadness, the hurt, everything, because you have a voice now.
That's
And once
good.
you can, once you articulate it, it becomes like, it just sheds so much. And as you say, like releasing that emotion through crying, it just allows you to take, it's like taking a lid off a pot, boiling pot.
Yeah, yeah.
It just like explodes, and then the heat is out. If you put the pot on a stove, you've turned it on, you put the lid, you put it on the highest, it will overflow.
Absolutely.
Unless you take off the lid.
Absolutely.
And you cry it out, whatever you need to do. But usually for me, it's crying a little bit, and then just allowing it to flow.
Yeah. And it's not forcing it, because that's what that's what I'm getting from this conversation with you. It's not about forcing it, is it? It's about just allowing it to flow. If it needs to come out, it will. If it needs to come up, it will. If it doesn't need to come up, it won't come to the surface. But if it needs to come up, it will. And then it's just kind of like letting it flow out as is intended and as is needed. And I think, a lot of kids don't even get taught any of this kind of, even as adults, we don't even know a lot of this stuff. We don't even know a lot of this stuff, because it makes things, I don't know about you, and I'm guessing you're going to say, yeah, it makes things brighter and lighter. And when you see people, you have this feeling of the utmost love for them. The utmost love. You look at someone, you could have a conversation with them, you have like the utmost love and compassion for those people. Well, that's what I got from doing that kind of work anyway. And
yes,
I take it you got it as well.
Yes.
You get this beautiful feeling.
Yeah. And for me, like in terms of working with clients, for me, it's always looking across at my client and seeing their biggest potential, and looking at them with the biggest love for them, because like as we say, we are mirrors to ourselves, and in a way we're part of the universe, we're connected. And I always say, like, I am you, you are me. So if I'm looking across my client, I'm giving that love, because in a way that's how I give love to myself as well. And they are part of me, so I'm giving that part of myself love. And when you hold that space and hold that energy for them, so they can be whoever they need to be, but you also allow them to express themselves, to share whatever they want to share, and to dig deep, and to behave however they want to behave, and still hold that highest version of themselves there. I think that's the most, in a way, I'd say that's the most important thing for me, to allow you to express yourself, but also, hold the highest potential for you, the version of you, and seeing it in front of myself. And from there, I'm going to call you out on your bullshit, which might not be like very comfortable, but I will. And same, I would expect from my coach to do the same for me. They call you out, they see. But if I do that, it's because I know that if you're fooling yourself in certain things, and if you're practicing a pattern that doesn't serve you, if I allow you to go on with that, then I'm not doing this. I'm doing you a disservice. It's not like your higher version of yourself.
Absolutely, and I completely agree with you on that as well. Especially because even I have to do the same in health and things. It's just recognizing certain things, and that people can do better. You want people to get better from everything. And that's what you're doing right here, is that you're helping people get the better from everything.
Yeah.
You can see how amazing they are.
Yeah. And there is this, your body holds the your subconscious holds the perfect health for your body.
Yeah.
And for you, like when you're working with your
Yeah.
clients, I suppose it's just like, okay, trusting that their subconscious has the blueprint for the perfect body,
Yeah.
that it
Yeah.
can that it's possible for them. And for you, it's also going to be, oh, I'm going to call you out on your bullshit because what you're doing is not really serving you, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, I suppose those conversations trigger people, but it's within that triggering comes because remember, it's not a trigger because you're really trying to hurt someone. It's a trigger because you know that person can do a lot better.
Yeah.
And I've been, I've gosh, to get where I am now, I had to be triggered along the way. And I was triggered by some really great people. And it just like literally snapped me into, it was almost like a literal like and it was like, oh God.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've had your coach doing the same for you as
Oh
well.
yes. Oh
You know?
yes. And I've been
Yeah.
triggered by people who are not my coaches, and it takes, like I see it, and I had a conversation last week exactly about that one. I saw someone doing something which I wasn't comfortable with,
Yeah.
and she was showing up in her divine energy, and I was like, oh, why is she doing that? And I recognized this as my own trigger, and I was thinking, okay, this is something that I need to look at, because if it's giving me this uncomfortable feeling in my stomach and it's like, like I'm not happy with what you're doing, it's mirroring something within me. And it turned
Yes.
out to be that I wasn't comfortable to show up as her,
Yes.
the same, in the same way as she's showing up. And I was just like, okay, where is this coming from? And then you dig deep.
Yeah. And then when you
Triggers are
recognize it,
never easy in a way,
they're not. They're
but
not.
this is usually like when something triggers you so much, usually this is where the biggest shift is.
Yes. Oh
Because
gosh, yeah.
once you break that pattern, if you've been repeating that pattern, and if you've been doing certain things for a certain thing for a very, very long time, and it keeps on triggering you, well, that's probably where your biggest gift is. And that's probably where you should dig deeper.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
what's here? Like, scratch beneath the surface. Let's go deeper. Let's see
Oh my
what's here.
gosh. That is so beautiful, because the thing is, not a lot of people talk about this. We always talk about freedom, and we kind of look at the surface layer. We treat everything topically. We
Yes.
look at the surface, we never go below and look at the root, and it's the root really, which is where you can like literally cross off a lot of things, and your whole life literally starts to change, and you start to see things in a different perspective. You're not kind of afraid to voice yourself in the way that you want to voice yourself, but you're also very much aware of where it's coming from too. Because I think that's one thing nowadays is that you become aware of how you're saying something. Is it yours? I think I've done a
Yes.
post on this
Yes.
recently talking about, is it yours or is it someone else's?
Yes. And as you say, freedom, it's freedom from the beliefs that we have about ourselves, that we have accepted from someone else and made it ours. It's freedom from those habits that we are constantly doing that are really not helping us. It's freedom from those limiting beliefs, from, like patterns of behavior that are really not doing us any service.
Yeah.
And once you free yourself from that, then you're much more, I'd say, I was always talking about unstoppable, but yes, you're
Yes.
much more, you're free to do whatever you want to, because you do not have those limitations that we have put on ourselves.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that is the beauty of having this conversation with you today and talking about this, and especially on Freedom Day too.
Oh, yes.
That as we move forward into freedom, are we moving forward into freedom that we choose and we desire, and that are behind our own beliefs,
Yeah.
not anyone else's? And I'm sure you agree with that too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Just as we want the external freedom, we also need to focus on that internal freedom, freedom from
Yes.
those, yeah,
Yeah,
from those, as I said, beliefs and behaviors that we're repeating all over again, which are not helping us at all.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's always a pleasure, an absolute pleasure having a conversation with you,
My
talking to
pleasure.
you. As
We could go on for another 2 hours.
I
I
know,
know.
we
And
could
I'm
like
just mindful of the
literally,
time.
we could like literally talk forever on a lot of things, me and Anna. We we have so much to talk about. And you know what? I'll have you on here again as well.
I
So
would love to.
because what we're going to do with this, we're going to put it onto the YouTube channel, which is Trina Kavanagh Mind and Body Coach. We're also going to upload it onto the website as well, so it will become a blog, and we're going to turn it into a podcast too. And we'll make sure Anna's details, they're on here anyway, so you can find Anna and you can go follow her page, The Divine Awakener. And I would definitely say go and follow her, go and watch all the videos and everything, because they're absolutely amazing, amazing. So
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you everyone who's watched today. This will be uploaded for Friday. If you're just joining now, go back to the beginning, because it's such a beautiful conversation, and these conversations really need highlighting, especially if you are looking for freedom, happiness, joy, immense enlightenment, and just love. So yeah, go back to the beginning and go watch again. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.